You're listening to the Spark Your Light podcast, episode number 259, The Routine Hack. How to use daily routine to reach your goals faster. This episode is for you if you've always liked the idea of a routine. Maybe you have struggled at different points in your life with creating a routine, or maybe you just feel like you're off the wagon with routine, but deep down, you know that a routine will support you and you want some motivation and spark behind creating a routine. This episode is for you if that is the case, because I'm going to be sharing with you the reasons why having a routine can be so supportive to your goals. And I'm going to share with you some tips on what to do when your routine doesn't quite go as planned, because we want to prepare ahead of time for life happening, because I promise you, life will happen. And when you prepare ahead of time, that can make a huge difference in the results that you see. Thank you so much to SoulCycle for sponsoring today's episode. This episode is inspired by my own reflection on routine, which has been more important now than ever being a new mom. And the first thing I want to say about routine that I think is really important is that your life is in seasons. And the seasons can be short seasons or longer seasons. And it's going to change based on the stage of your life you are in. So right now, I am in extremely short seasons because my son's schedule changes very frequently because he's growing quickly and all of a sudden he's dropping a nap, or he's eating more frequently or less frequently. And so my routine is changing a lot. Sometimes I had seasons that were maybe 3-4 months, 6 months, even a year, where I consistently kept the same routine because not too much had changed for me. So the first thing you want to do is just ask yourself, what kind of season am I in? And give yourself the flexibility and permission to change that season, to shift that routine if needed. That's a great place to start. Now, when deciding what kind of routine to create for yourself, you want to think about your goals. So for me, I think about my biggest goals currently, which I've been talking about a lot, are getting a traditional publishing deal and just continuing to fill my speaking calendar with gigs that I'm really excited about. And so I know that those two things are really important to me. And because of that, I have created routines around those things. So I look at, when do I want to achieve a certain goal by? I think it is really helpful to have a deadline for your goals. However, I don't believe in giving up on your goal if you don't hit the deadline. The deadline is good to help you work backwards and create a realistic plan of how much time you need to dedicate to a specific goal to hit your goal by the deadline. But a lot of things are outside of our control, right? So I can only do my part in creating a really great book proposal, but I can't control how quickly agents get back to me, or who's actually interested in my proposal, and how long or short it takes to actually land that partnership with an agent. And then the same is true of then the book getting picked up by a traditional publishing house. That is going to take time, and I'm not in control of the amount of time that takes. So you want to set time-bound goals based on how much time you need to put in to get to where you want to get to by a certain time, and also be willing to let go of the timeline when it is not in your control. And so for the example with the proposal, I have set a time-bound goal for when I want to finish my proposal by and start pitching agents. So I know what that timeline is. And then from there, I've been able to work backwards and say, if I want to hit that goal, I need to work on my book for a full day once a week, like at least 6 hours, if not more, depending on, how much time I'm able to get based on childcare and other things. And so I know that. And so I have reserved Fridays as book writing day. And unless something is super important and like prioritized based on time, like this is urgent, needs to be done, which is very rare for me, then I only work on my book on those days. And that has been incredibly helpful in advancing my proposal. And the same is true and applies for the speaking. I've broken out where in my routine can I fit this. Now, a lot of times we're busy and we don't always have a full day to fit in, work towards a goal. And so with my speaking, I actually work on it for about 30 minutes every day. And that's something that has been doable for me in my routine. And so you can think to yourself, okay, what goals do I have? And these can be any goals. They can be career goals. They can be personal goals, health goals, right? What goals do I have? What is the timeline that I want to achieve this goal by? And realistically, how much time per day or per week would I need to dedicate to that goal to hit that? And then where might that work in my routine? So looking at your everyday life and what is realistic for you right now in this season, knowing it may change or it just may not work. You might try it and be like, I thought I was going to really enjoy getting up early and going to the gym before work, but it turns out I felt tired all day. I really didn't like it, but I really liked going on my way home from work. I felt like it was a nice wind down activity. It was a nice way to decompress after working all day, and that was better for me. So some of it is trial and error. Some of it is experimentation. Some of it is past experiences, knowing more about yourself. And some of it is the season you're in. So while I know I'm a morning person, Michael has unfortunately been waking up every night to eat. And then I've also been pumping in the middle of the night because he's eating an extra bottle and I need more milk. So I'm up for a good chunk of time, about an hour in the middle of the night, every night. And so even though I'm a morning person and there was a time where he was sleeping through the night, about 2 weeks, a really wonderful period of time in our life. When that was happening, I would just get up a half hour before he was getting up. And that really worked well for me because I'm a morning person. But despite being a morning person, my life circumstances right now are not lending themselves to that feeling good for me because I'm exhausted, and it works much better for me to do that 30 minutes on his first nap of the day when I've been able to sleep in a little bit more and feel a little bit more well-rested. Therefore, I can have the energy to do the things I want to do. So it's a combination of knowing yourself and what works for you, as well as being honest about the circumstances you're in. Maybe you have a really demanding job, and so there are only certain times a day you can do some of the things that'll move you towards your goals. Now, the reason that I say routine is a hack is because it allows you to get into a habit of doing the things that will get you to your goal. The way you're going to get to your goal is always through consistent action. It's not through a really strong, intense amount of action. It is through consistent action. So I always say consistency over intensity helps us achieve our goals. And by making the actions that are going to move you closer habitual in your day, you don't have to think about them. It's just what you do at 7 p.m. every night, and you just do it. And that is so powerful because you don't fight yourself. You don't question yourself. You simply do it and move forward. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I also wanted to include some information around what do you do if things don't go as planned, because it will happen. And it's really important to have a backup plan for when things don't go as planned so that you can still make progress towards your goals. Because a lot of times people don't have that backup plan. They then skip the habit, change their routine. And after a couple days of that, they then feel like, well, I might as well just give up. I haven't done X, Y, or Z the past couple days. And that's an all or nothing mindset that is incredibly unhelpful, but it's something that a lot of people struggle with. And I know I've struggled with it myself. So it's understandable. And if you make a backup plan ahead of time, you can avoid all of that mental turmoil. So the backup plan is a couple of things. Number one, what is your minimum standard? So minimum standard is a concept that I've created that basically means the minimum amount of time, or it could also be measured not in time. So with speaking, for me, I actually measure it in pitches. So I'll send like one pitch per day, and that's my minimum. And so however you want to measure it, that makes sense for whatever routine it is. But what is the minimum that you're going to do that thing every day, even if there are unexpected things coming up? So for me, let's say that Michael does not nap well and he has some really short cat naps. And on the cat naps, I was just feeding myself and drinking some water and going to the bathroom because that happens. And I wasn't able to send my one email. Then because I'm committed to that and because it's my minimum standard and I've decided ahead of time, there's going to be no mental chatter and I will do it at some point during the day. It might not be my normal routine. I might have to do it at 9 p.m. when I'm sitting in bed for 20 minutes. And I'm okay with that because I'm committed to that minimum standard. Now, I also have thought through really terrible situations that I might face in my life or just situations where I'm not equipped to do it. So for example, if I'm sick, if there is a true family emergency, my minimum standards do not apply. And this is something that I've applied to all my habits, all my minimum standards. I will drop anything for my family and there are no minimum standards. For example, when we lived in the hospital for a month, we did not have any minimum standards because our only priority was to take care of Michael and be there with him. And that was so important. And I'm glad that I didn't have any mental chatter about that, but I normally exercise or I normally am doing XYZ for work, right? No, those things did not matter. And I thought that through ahead of time. So I didn't have to question myself, should I be doing this? Should I not? Right? So that's really helpful. And then the thing about the minimum standard that I love is it's a minimum, which means you can always do more. So if the day is going really well and Michael is taking a 2-hour nap, I might pitch myself to 5 conferences. And I'm really excited about that. But as long as I did one, I did the minimum standard. So what the minimum standard does is it allows you to take something that might have normally taken a greater amount of time in your day and chunk it down into something that is going to be short and quick, but still allows you to commit to the thing that you wanted to do. So another example is with exercise. Let's say ideally you like to go to the gym for 45 minutes, but on a given day, maybe you just had a lot of work and you were really backed up. And so you were working late and you're just feeling physically tired as well. And you just don't really feel excited about going to the gym for 45 minutes. Maybe your minimum standard is a 15-minute walk. And so you decide, you know what, I'm just going to walk outside for 15 minutes. That's my minimum standard. And you feel so good that you stayed committed to the thing that you wanted to do. So there's a lot of positive impact that goes along with this concept of the minimum standard. And it's something that can help you with routine. So this combination of being flexible with your routine and also having a routine that is set in place that will help you be committed and consistent with the habits that are going to move you closer to your goal is really the key to achieving everything you want. It is about the long run. And I know that's boring. I know it's not sexy. And I know it's not the quick fix that everyone's searching for. But it's the truth about creating real change in your life. And when you can form that into your habits and into your routine, it goes a really long way. And before you know it, you're going to be looking back and being so grateful that you took those steps today because you actually have created the things that you've wanted in your life, which is so incredible because you truly are the creator. And whatever goals that you've set for yourself, you can bring them to fruition. So I hope that this episode gives you a helpful tool in doing that. I know it's really helpful for me. And I haven't even mentioned all of the mental health benefits of having a routine. It just feels good. And it's something that I know you will thrive when you create one that really aligns with your goals. So thanks again for tuning into today's episode. And I will catch you in the next episode.